Both parents died in a car accident, leaving behind only the adopted younger brother who had just been brought home from the orphanage. Because I witnessed the death of my closest relatives with my own eyes, I developed severe dependent personality disorder. I had to cling to my only adopted younger brother all day long, and even when sleeping, I refused to let go of his embrace, suffocating and unbearable. Later, the girl my younger brother liked was driven to death by me, in anger. He abandoned me and completely severed our relationship, but when I was on the brink of death from a heart attack, he resolutely decided to donate his heart to me, willingly facing death. You and our parents gave me the only home I had. I no longer owe you anything, sis. I broke down and cried. Only then did I realize that my parents adopted Jack just to use him as a spare heart for me. Everyone blamed me for ruining what should have been Jack's brilliant life. It wasn't until I completely lost Jack that I finally felt regret. I dragged this broken body to pray every day, building thousands of orphanages and doing good deeds for a lifetime. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day Jack discovered my emotional turmoil. In this life, I want him to be happy and fulfilled. As for me, having committed countless evils, it's time to die. When I saw Jack's young face, I thought for a moment that everything was an illusion. Linda, I've always thought of you as my sister, and yet you secretly filmed me doing that kind of thing. How disgusting. Hearing such a vibrant young voice, my mind went blank with heat. It exploded instantly. Did I really travel back in time? Jack was angrily flipping through photos on my computer, at home, at school, at parties. All of them were various angles of Jack that I had secretly taken. The more he looked, the redder Jack's earlobes became. How many photos did you secretly take? From these photos, my affection for him was clearly visible, but in my heart, there was no fear of being questioned. All is the relief of starting over again. I burst into laughter through my tears. In my previous life, I prayed every day, did a lifetime of good deeds in Jack's name, and didn't even dare to eat a single bite of meat. All I asked for was Jack's happiness and smooth sailing in the next life. I never expected that heaven would have eyes, actually allowing me to be reborn at a time when everything had yet to begin. On this day, Jack had just discovered the feelings I had been hiding deep in my heart for him. I hadn't made any major mistakes yet. There's still time for everything. My eyes were red, tears uncontrollably falling one by one. In this lifetime, I will definitely not ruin Jack's life. Jack turned his head and saw me silently shedding tears. He instantly felt a bit at a loss. I don't mean to blame you, but you can't keep these photos anymore. I nodded obediently. In my previous life, after being discovered, I simply let things slide and stopped caring. Seeing no other choice, I started pursuing Jack. It was a huge uproar. Any female creature that came within 10 steps of Jack was driven away by me through extreme measures, especially the girl he liked. I wished I could devour her flesh and drink her blood. Thinking about the things I did in my past life, I can't help but want to slap myself twice. But this time, without saying a word, I directly deleted all the photos in the folder with one click. The recycle bin and backup folder were also destroyed by me. Not a single photo was left, all cleaned up. Jack's mouth was slightly agape, clearly shocked by my swift and decisive actions. I looked at him with a steady gaze. I will never take secret photos of you again, I promise. 3 years ago, my parents died in a car accident. I was also in the car when the accident happened. In the moment of the accident, both my parents shielded me in their embrace. I will always remember their eyes, wide open in death. I would rather have gone with them than be left alone in this world. From that day on, I developed a stress response. I can't hear anyone talking to me. I'm just immersed in my own world. Only when Jack speaks to me do I give a slight response. But it's just nodding or shaking my head, nothing more. Yet Jack, who is younger than me, carries everything in the family. He doesn't seem like a younger brother, but more like an older brother. Because our parents were at fault in the car accident, we had to pay a large sum of money in compensation to the other party. Jack barely managed to cover the amount by selling the house. But now we have no home. After experiencing psychological issues, I withdrew from worldly affairs. It was Jack who alone helped me rent a place, earn money, and seek therapy from a psychologist. Despite being at an age when he should still be in school, he shouldered the family's burdens. He attended classes during the day, worked part-time in the evening, and after work, he still came home to accompany me. The therapy from the psychologist didn't work, so he bought a whole bunch of psychology books. He self-studied a decade's worth of psychology knowledge. Bit by bit, he unlocked the doors to my heart. I had a mental breakdown and cursed at him. He smiled without changing his expression. Gentle and patient with me, I hit him with a stool, tearing and biting at him. He remained silent, letting me act out. Only when I calmed down did he gently explain things to me, over and over again. My dependency makes me unable to leave him. Only in his arms every night can I fall asleep peacefully. Day after day of relying on each other for survival, I fell helplessly in love with him. I gradually couldn't bear to have Jack leave my sight. I installed surveillance cameras at home, bribed classmates at school, and even put tracking software on his phone, and so on. The list goes on. I threatened suicide and used every vicious method to drive away any female presence around him. Only I could get close to him, until I discovered that Jack actually had a crush on a girl, Luna. That was the first time I hated someone. I did every evil deed, using every means to humiliate her, trying to force her to leave. But the methods went too far, and Luna ended up taking her own life. It was because of this incident that Jack completely cut ties with me. His gaze was cold. Your affection truly disgusts me, Linda. Why didn't you go die with her? No matter how I acted out or harmed myself this time, Jack never once looked back at me. But a few years later, I had a heart attack due to an accident. Jack, however, rushed to the hospital in a panic and offered his heart to me without hesitation. It turned out to be a perfect match in both heart and blood type. It turns out my parents adopted him from the very beginning just for his heart. Jack was actually my backup heart source. For the first time, I shed tears of regret. I only realized my regret after the fact. I was wrong. Please wake up. But Jack will never get up to comfort me like he used to. He will forever remain at 25 years old. Everyone calls me a jinx. Not only did I cause the death of my own parents, but I even got Jack killed. He could have had a bright future, but I tormented him beyond recognition. Jack's last words to me are still vivid in my mind. It was the first time I had a home, the first time I had family. I cherished it. It was me who didn't grasp the boundaries of our relationship. I'm sorry. I broke down crying. I was the one who lacked a sense of propriety. We could have just been family for a lifetime. And that would have been perfectly fine. It was my own fault for overestimating myself and trying to win Jack over. As a result, I ended up ruining Jack's life, which should have been bright and promising. I won't indulge you like I used to anymore. Jack's expression turned cold and stern, a clear chill appearing in his eyes. Won't you spoil me? I couldn't help but twitch the corner of my eye. Ever since Jack warned me that day, I thought my life would fall into an abyss. Previously, Jack would transfer the entire 5,000 yuan from his part-time job to my card every month, but now, it's become 4,900 yuan. What's the meaning of giving me 100 yuan less? He said it's to stop sleeping with me and to help me develop the habit of sleeping alone. But every night, he secretly takes a pillow and guards the doorway. If I toss and turn, Jack thinks I'm having a nightmare and has been making calming soup for me for several days in a row. He comes in to check on me 3 or 4 times every night to make sure I don't kick off the covers in the middle of the night. He went from personally feeding me every meal to just cooking and not feeding me. So this is what it means to not indulge me anymore. I smacked my lips, my mouth stuffed full of pork belly. If I had known that being siblings could be this good, I wouldn't have caused so much trouble in my past life. Last time you locked Luna in the bathroom overnight. She ended up in the hospital. I have to give half of this month's part-time wages to her. At the dinner table, Jack calmly announced this statement. He watched my reaction with cold eyes, but I noticed his unconsciously trembling fingers. It turns out that Jack was never as indifferent as he appeared on the surface. I just never noticed it before. I thought he only stood by Luna's side. Alright, after all, the part-time job earnings were what Jack earned himself, and it had nothing to do with me. Strictly speaking, I am the older sister, should be the one working to support him. Seeing that I agreed, Jack unconsciously furrowed his brow, clearly unable to understand why I had changed so suddenly. Seeing that I remained silent, he thought I was sulking. He then added, "Don't be angry. Next month when the school issues the scholarship, I'll make it up to you." I unconsciously let out a sigh. No need. Was I really that terrible before, even taking your younger brother's scholarship? After thinking it over, I decided to go apologize to Luna. After all, I was the one who had someone lock her in the school restroom. Looking back now, even I want to call myself a scumbag. The young man and the young woman are in love with each other. Why should I go and meddle? Pushing open the hospital room door, I saw Jack sitting by the head of the bed, carefully peeling an apple for Luna. As soon as I entered, Luna instinctively shrank back abruptly. Jack instinctively stepped in front of her. "What are you doing here?" Seeing this scene, my chest tightened, and I found it hard to breathe. It's no wonder they reacted so strongly. I had indeed done many vicious things before. After learning that Jack likes Luna, I wish Luna would die without a burial place. To call it school bullying would be an understatement. Lying and slandering are all part of it. There's nothing I wouldn't do. Seeing Jack's wary expression, I suddenly remembered how I took advantage of others in my previous life. After Jack went to college, once, while hanging out with classmates at a bar, I accidentally drank too much. I directly dragged him back to the room and forced myself on him. I took advantage of Jack's sense of responsibility and repeatedly pushed my luck with him. How shameless of the adoptive parents to treat Jack as a blood bag. How shameless of the adoptive sister to actually spy on Jack's body. Jack is really unlucky to have met our family. I slowly adjusted my breathing. Staring intently at the two of them, forced myself to adapt to this scene. Jack and Luna will definitely get married in the future. I have to get used to it. I can't cling to him like I did in my past life anymore. I pulled out a fruit basket from behind and bowed deeply to Luna 3 times in a row. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have had someone lock you in the bathroom, causing you to get sick and miss school. It's all my fault." Luna shrank under the covers, her eyes full of wariness. It seemed she didn't believe at all that I could turn over a new leaf. Jack was even more shocked. I never thought my sister, who always looks down on others, would one day apologize to someone. This is even more unbelievable than me turning over a new leaf. Neither of them believed my apology. Fortunately, I came back early, and those irreversible things haven't happened yet. Everything is still in time. Seeing Luna freeze and not say a word, I quickly added, "It's okay if you don't forgive me. You're the victim, and you have the right not to forgive me, but at least take the money. Getting your health back on track is what really matters. Don't let it affect your college entrance exams." I pulled another wad of cash from my pocket. It was the living expenses Jack had transferred to me a few days ago. This time, Jack was genuinely astonished. Luna remained silent for a long while. Finally, she nodded with a heavy expression. "It's okay, I forgive you. But you should take this money back. It's not easy for Moo to work part-time." My expression is complicated. No wonder Jack fell for Luna, such a kind-hearted and forgiving girl. If I were a man, I would like her too. I refused and directly stuffed the money into Luna's arms before running away. Not giving the money was out of the question. Luna's family was also poor. If she didn't take good care of her health, what if she developed chronic health issues later? From now on, she will be my sister-in-law. We are all one family. To break my dependence on Jack, I never reached out to him again in the evenings. I steeled myself and went out to look for a job. After all, I am the older sister. How could I really let a high school senior support me? Do I not have any dignity? I said I would do it, and I did, having lived an extra life. My mindset has become much more stable. Waiter, factory worker, package sorter, food delivery. As long as there's money to be made, I'm willing to do it. Only by completing the initial accumulation of money can I support my future entrepreneurial endeavors. I forced myself to maintain boundaries with Jack, even the 5,000 yuan salary he transferred to me every month. I returned it all. My eyes felt sore. In his previous life, Jack gave all his money to me. I don't understand how a teenage boy in the midst of growing could endure it. No wonder Jack ended up looking so lean and thin later on. After drinking, he was easily subdued by me. He gave all his money to me and could only eat the free soup and vegetables at school. How could he not lose weight? But after I turned over a new leaf, Jack seemed even more unhappy. Every time he sees me, he grits his teeth, as if I owed him a huge debt, though I really do owe him. To make Jack feel better and stay out of his sight, I resolutely decided to let him live at school. Once he left, I naturally didn't have to pay the rent anymore, and I could go find a job that provides food and accommodation, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The next day, I cleaned up and prepared to go discuss with Jack's homeroom teacher, but unexpectedly, I saw Luna on the school path. My eyes lit up instantly. Sister-in-law. I grabbed Luna and forced her into the small grove. Luna's face turned bright red. Sister Moo, you said you wouldn't. I had just pinned her against the tree and was about to pull something out from my embrace. The next second, Jack's cold voice came from behind me. What are you trying to do to Luna again? I was grabbed by the collar from behind and thrown directly. I leaned sideways to dodge but accidentally stepped on a small stone. In my haste, I used my wrist to break the fall. Ah! With a crack, my hand is severely fractured. Luna stood there in a daze, still holding the stack of cash I had forced into her hands, completely at a loss. Seeing my miserable state, Jack's face was full of panic. In one swift motion, he hoisted me onto his back and sprinted to the hospital like he was running a 100-meter dash. Luna hurriedly followed behind. Only after the doctor had set my hand back in place did I have a chance to gather my thoughts and speak. After hearing my explanation, Jack and Luna fell into a moment of silence. Luna looked at the stack of cash in her hand with a complicated expression, and there's also a thick stack of test papers. So, you did this to make me study hard, to eat properly at school? I nodded awkwardly. I was afraid you wouldn't accept it, so I planned to just shove the things at you and run. I didn't expect it to be misunderstood. Jack lowered his head and remained silent for a while. I'm sorry, this time it's my fault, I thought. I don't blame him for misunderstanding. After all, I have a long history of misconduct and have often hit women who got close to Jack. From a third-person perspective, I suddenly pulled Luna into the small grove, clearly intending to do something bad. Luna lowered her head, her eyes dark as she looked at the heavy stack of test papers in her arms. Suddenly, she gave me a gentle, kind smile. In both this life and the last, this was the first time Luna had ever smiled at me. I suddenly felt a bit flattered, smiling so sweetly. So you're not blaming me anymore? Luna absolutely refused to accept the money. She insisted on returning the money to me, only willing to accept those test papers. I don't care about those past matters anymore. You don't need to secretly slip me money, but I really like the test papers you gave me. Thank you. I breathed a sigh of relief, giggling. She pulled Luna aside and started chatting about everyday life, making her laugh out loud. I have a good relationship with my future sister-in-law. It looks like I won't be kicked out in the future. Today's merit points increased by 1. In the evening, Jack came into my bedroom with his blanket, something he hadn't done in a long time. He lowered his head, staring intently at the floor, not daring to look up at me. I'm sorry about what happened today, sis. I waved my hand dismissively. It's okay, it's okay. I didn't take it to heart at all, actually. Jack didn't mean to push me today. He just pulled me behind him. I accidentally slipped on a stone and fell by accident. Seeing that I wasn't angry, Jack finally breathed a sigh of relief. The next second, he instinctively took a step forward, intending to sit on the edge of the bed and talk to me. I subconsciously shoved a pillow between us. I quickly scooted back 3 steps, until there was enough space between the two of them to fit 3 more people. Jack's footsteps abruptly halted. His face was hidden in the darkness, making it impossible to discern his expression. After a long while, he finally spoke. I forgot, you're in treatment. Why do you suddenly want to go to school? The homeroom teacher told me you scheduled a meeting with him. What happened? I suddenly understood. How could I have forgotten about this? I immediately explained. I was planning to go to school today to help you with the boarding application, but then, ouch, boarding is absolutely necessary. If Jack continues to live at home, he'll definitely end up preparing all 3 meals for me, and he'll have to do household chores like a servant. This is going to interfere with his college entrance exams. It would be better for him to live on campus, so he can focus on his studies without me holding him back. My heart ached, but I forced a bright smile on my face. I need to get used to life without Jack as soon as possible. Have you forgotten those photos you came across? How terrifying. I also find this morbid dependency quite annoying. Haha, I asked the doctor, and he said this isolation treatment is effective. Anyway, you're about to take the college entrance exams, and I can get treatment at home, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Isn't that great? The me who was desperately clinging to Jack before has now suddenly become completely normal. No one believes it. Jack's gaze was heavy on me, as if trying to bore a hole through me. Are you sure nothing happened? I nodded quickly. Don't worry, I'm actively cooperating with the doctors in my treatment. I raised 3 fingers and swore to the heavens, I swear, I promise, by the time you finish your college entrance exams, you'll see a healthy me. Jack rubbed his brow with slight irritation. If you have anything to say, just tell me, okay? I patted his shoulder with a grin. Oh, what could possibly happen to me? I'm your sister, after all. If I keep lying around like this, I'll become useless. How can a younger brother support his older sister? Just wait until I make it big someday. You'll be living the high life with me. After my repeated assurances, Jack reluctantly agreed to live on campus, but there was one condition. I had to send him updates on my 3 daily meals and my progress every day. I honestly agreed. Don't let Jack get distracted. This time, he must take the exam properly. The college entrance exam is approaching. The academic pressure is too high. And the school has experienced a student suicide incident like last time. The school leadership urgently ordered all teachers and students to have a 3-day holiday. Jack naturally went home to take care of me. How could I let him be distracted? Besides, if Jack found out I was working behind his back, he even moved out of the house and didn't go to the hospital for treatment at all. Wouldn't that just drive you crazy? I can't let Jack know about this. I absolutely cannot let him come home. A brilliant idea suddenly came to my mind. As soon as school is out, I'll immediately go to the school gate to block Jack and Luna. With arms around their shoulders, I held one on each side. I said with a grin. Since the school is on a 3-day break, let's go to the temple to pray for blessings together. Stay for a couple of days before heading to school. It's boring to just stay at home during the holidays. Jack frowned and was about to refuse. I immediately caught his intention and quickly added, the doctor said that enjoying more scenery is good for mental health. To cure my illness, Jack would always agree to anything. This time was no exception. Halfway up the mountain, Jack carried me, who had lost all will to live. As he climbed the mountain, seeing the leisurely expression on my face, he threw me off his shoulder. Do you take me for a sedan chair? Climb on your own, no slacking off. Jack mercilessly ordered me to climb the mountain, refusing to carry me any longer. Luna was laughing happily nearby. This time he's actually right. Sister Moo, you're so frail. You really should exercise more. Luna thought I frequently went to the hospital because I was sick. Little did she know that I had psychological issues. Hearing Luna's words, I couldn't help but twitch the corner of my mouth. Am I weak? That's not what she said when I slapped her in the face in my previous life. Thinking about the bad things I did in my past life, I couldn't help but despise myself in my heart. Forget it, after the college entrance exams are over, I must make it up to Luna properly. Should we give her a big red envelope first? I've saved quite a bit from my part-time job these past few months, so I can give it all to her when the time comes. Luna smiled and pulled me into her embrace. Jack, you go ahead and climb up first. The blessing bracelets will be sold out soon, so remember to buy a couple extra for us. We'll just slowly climb at the back. I'll keep an eye on Sister Moo and definitely won't let her slack off. Don't worry, I really have a big mouth. I should have chosen a different activity. Luna held my hand as we slowly trailed behind, taking one step at a time up the mountain. In less than an hour, my back was completely drenched in sweat. Luna, however, still had a radiant glow on her face. She glanced at me with concern. Sister Moo, let's take a break. I was moved to tears, thinking how kind Luna was. You are a little angel. We had just sat down on the stone bench. Suddenly, 3 or 5 yellow-haired hooligans rushed out from the woods. Each of them was holding a wooden stick as thick as an arm. He stared at us with an unfriendly gaze. I was completely exhausted, struggling to catch my breath. I could only hide behind Luna, dodging left and right. Luna stood in front of me, holding a hiking stick as she fought with them. But Luna was just a young girl. How could she resist these thugs? Before long, she was grabbed by her hands and feet and dragged into the woods. Help! I was startled and quickly grabbed a large stone nearby. Rushing forward, go to hell, you bastard! I smashed the head of the thug who was grabbing Luna on the spot. The remaining 4 thugs immediately closed in on us. Without hesitation, I tried to grab Luna's hand and run. I never expected that as soon as I reached out my hand to her, a tremendous force suddenly surged toward me from behind. Linda, I really believed you had changed for the better. You pretended for so long. But in the end, a leopard can't change its spots. Jack's gaze became as cold and disgusted as in his previous life. My heart instinctively ached. I didn't, I was already physically exhausted. Being able to lift a stone and hit someone earlier was already pushing my limits. Suddenly, I was pushed hard again, my legs gave way, and I could no longer hold on, tumbling straight down the mountain. In the blink of an eye, no one had time to stop it. A scream came from above. I tried to curl up as much as possible, protecting my head. I don't know how long I rolled, but after hitting a large rock, I finally stopped falling. My lower back slammed directly into the stone. I could hear a sharp cracking sound. I got up to check my body. My face was scratched with messy blood marks from the branches, all abrasions. The most serious injuries were the waist injury and the sprained foot. I limped out. The sky was growing dark, and there was no one around. I don't know where it rolled off to, I sniffled, feeling wronged. I swore that once Jack finished his college entrance exams, would never live with him again. Linda must learn to be self-reliant. The sky had completely darkened. The further I walked, the redder my eyes became. Jack's bloodshot eyes just now seemed to correspond with those from his previous life. The exact same look. In my previous life, just before the college entrance exam, I deliberately locked Luna at home, which led her to climb out the window to get to the exam. As a result, she unexpectedly ran into some troublemakers on the way, got beaten up, and ended up missing the exam. The next day, Luna committed suicide by burning charcoal. At that time, Jack's eyes were also bloodshot, filled with hatred. I can forgive you for anything you do, but this time it's a living human life. If I had known earlier, I would rather have died in the orphanage. Even though Jack was extremely disappointed in me, he still emptied his pockets to find me a defense lawyer. The judge ruled that my act of locking the door had no direct connection to Luna's suicide, and there was no evidence to prove that I had hired the thugs. Finally, I didn't even have to go to jail. I just had to pay Luna's family $50,000. Luna's parents favored sons over daughters and didn't care about her at all. They agreed to settle on the spot. They were in a hurry to use that money to get their son married. Jack disappeared from then on, completely cutting off all ties with me. He didn't even go to university, which he had been admitted to. Thinking of these things, my heart grows even more bitter. Forget it. So what if Jack pushed me just now? I have a long criminal record. In such a critical situation, misunderstandings are understandable. I just couldn't help feeling a pang of bitterness in my heart. Suddenly, a strong flash of light appeared ahead. I immediately shrank to the side. Only after hearing my name called from the opposite side did I feel relieved and step out. As soon as Jack saw me, he pounced on me like a hungry wolf. He looked haggard, his face deathly pale. His arm around me seemed to be crushing me. Jack's body was trembling violently. Finally found you. Thank goodness. All the way, Jack's mouth was full of apologies. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sis. I misunderstood you. His eyes were filled with guilt. I came from behind and saw you reaching out to push Luna toward those men. So, hit me, sis. I was really wrong. Seeing Jack's red-rimmed eyes, I generously patted his head. It's okay, I'm your sister after all. How could I blame you? I've done so many wrong things in the past, and even drove away all the girls who got close to you. No wonder you misunderstood. I suppressed the grievance in my heart from being misunderstood. A big smile spread across my face. The doctor said my illness is cured. I won't cling to you anymore. Jack's body trembled uncontrollably, hot tears dripping one by one onto the back of my neck. I'm sorry. I let Jack hold me, patting the back of his head. This is the last time I'll hug Jack. I greedily take a deep breath. Don't cry. From now on, I'll treat you like my own younger brother and fulfill my responsibilities as an older sister, just like all the older sisters in the world, taking good care of you. I swear I will never cling to you like a creep again. We will be family for a lifetime. Jack's body suddenly stiffened. The next moment, he held me even tighter. It hurt my ribs so much. I slapped him on the head. Why are you holding me so tight? You're choking me. Suddenly, another flash of white light appeared ahead. It was Luna bringing the main group over. I raised my eyebrows suggestively, signaling for Jack to look behind him. I know you have a thing for sister. With the life-saving favor we just did, your chances of winning her over are much higher now. Go for it boldly, little brother. I'll always have your back. Jack opened his mouth to say something but was interrupted by the newcomer. Luna snatched me over with a nervous look, carefully examining me. How are you? Are you hurt anywhere? Are you okay? I shook my head. It's nothing, just a minor scrape. Are you okay? Luna also shook her head. Thanks to you too, those bullies were driven away. I didn't even get a scratch. But you, hurry to the hospital. Don't think I didn't notice your swollen foot. I was dragged by the ear by Luna and sent to the ambulance. I repeatedly promised to take good care of my injuries in the hospital. Only after they both returned to school could I calm down and think on the hospital bed. Something is wrong. In the previous life, Luna encountered the thugs in the alley because she climbed through the window. So why did she still encounter them this time? It's even the same group of people. I remember their faces. I didn't miss the flicker of light in their eyes when they saw Luna. Their target was Luna from the very beginning. But besides offending me, Luna has never offended anyone else, right? I was completely baffled. To ensure Luna could smoothly take the college entrance exam and make up for my past mistakes, I deliberately followed her secretly that day. Sure enough, I saw that group of hooligans again. I pulled out my newly bought electric pig prod and launched a righteous sneak attack from behind. One shock per person. Extremely convenient. It is recommended that every woman always keep one on hand. After my interrogation, they were afraid I would electrocute them to death. They tearfully revealed the mastermind behind it all. It was Luna's parents. That crazy couple didn't want their daughter to take the college entrance exam, saying she would definitely run away after finishing it, and they still need her for the bride price. I widened my eyes in shock. No wonder they agreed to settle so quickly in their previous life. So they were the ones who hired the people. Afraid that further investigation would lead to them, they took the money and ran immediately. I couldn't help but tremble with both hands. How could I possibly bully a little girl whose own parents were willing to sell her, even her only fallback option, the college entrance exam, was destroyed? No wonder she ended her own life. I slapped each of them and told them to turn themselves in immediately. Otherwise, I'll have someone electrocute you every day. The few of them fled in panic. After the college entrance exams, I was waiting outside the exam hall to pick up Jack. I saw him and Luna walking out of the exam hall side by side. A perfect match. Who wouldn't say they're made for each other? It's time to put an end to this twisted love. My mind was made up. I had resolved to do something. Jack's eyes lit up instantly when he saw me. He rushed toward me like a little puppy. Sis. The next second, Jack's smile froze on his face. I smiled and linked arms with the boy beside me. Let me introduce you. This is my new boyfriend, Alan. This is my brother, Jack. Witnessing the scene before him, Jack felt as if all the blood in his body had frozen. He didn't even glance at Alan's outstretched hand, gritting his teeth. Sis, you've really given me a big gift. My expression was full of tenderness. I have an even bigger gift prepared for you. That night, when Jack returned home, he found that I was gone. Only a letter was left behind. Bye. I'm heading to City A with Alan to make a name for myself. I'll come back once I've achieved something. Love. Your sister. Oh. And I wish you and Luna a happy union for 100 years. Hurry up and win over your future sister-in-law. Heart. The boyfriend is of course fake, just someone I temporarily hired from an app. I just didn't want Jack to worry about me, but I didn't know that after I left, Jack seemed to have gone crazy. A few years later, I didn't expect to run into Jack while buying strawberry Swiss rolls on the street. The moment I saw Jack, I froze in place. Jack had grown taller. Why is my body even thinner than before? But I've already run so far. How could I run into Jack again? My eyes were filled with Jack's face. My mind was a chaotic mess, and I could only hear the sound of blood rushing. Jack rushed over and held me tightly in his arms. When he raised his head again, his gaze was terrifyingly gloomy. I've finally found you, sister. Why did you abandon me? Am I a burden? Sister, why? Why did you leave me all alone? I was completely bewildered. I felt as if all the blood in my body had frozen. There was only one thought in my mind. I really want to escape, because the Jack in front of me is too terrifying, like some kind of monster that's barely holding itself back. As if realizing the issue with his expression, Jack suddenly shows a gentle smile. Sister, come home with me, don't leave again. Is it because I didn't believe you before, so you're angry? Or because I wasn't in the room with you during the last thunderstorm? Or because the food I cooked didn't suit your taste? You can punish me however you want. Just don't leave me again. I instinctively broke free from his grasp. Aren't you in love with Luna? I've already recovered from my illness. I don't need you to. I want to break free. The forced smile on Jack's face slowly crumbled, the warmth in his eyes gradually faded, even the curve of his raised lips turned gloomy. Don't need him anymore, he wouldn't allow it, Jack. I've never liked anyone. Back at the orphanage, Luna helped me. She's my benefactor, that's all. Besides, Luna doesn't like men at all. The next moment, a soft touch covered my lips. The only one I love is you, Linda. I widened my eyes in shock. Is it your turn to be sick? I am your sister. Jack chuckled twice, sounding somewhat morbid. He pulled a piece of paper from his chest. Your parents haven't completed the adoption procedures with the orphanage. I've never been on your family's household registration, Linda. We have no relationship whatsoever, whether it's an adoptive relationship or a blood relationship. There is none at all. We are just strangers. I am in a daze. If there is no connection, then why did Jack, who already knew the truth in his previous life, save me? Could it be that in his previous life, a gentle smile hung on Jack's face. Your illness is cured, it's my turn now, Jack sighed story. He is afraid, if Linda knew that her parents hadn't adopted him, she would definitely abandon him. Jack never wanted to be alone again, since Linda only cared about her family. He would be her family for the rest of her life, so he always emphasized that they were a family, that he was her only brother, trying to use the last trace of a false relationship to keep her, but Linda was still taken away. Is he a burden? Why? Even after doing so well, did she still abandon him, just because of that inexplicable boyfriend? Yes, since the identity of a fake brother can't keep her, then I'll just be her boyfriend, whether as family or as lovers. They are going to be together for a lifetime. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I am a domineering CEO. And my childhood sweetheart fiancée is the villainess. She has been so dumbed down that every time she tries to do something bad, she messes it up and ends up suffering the consequences. Wait a minute, something's happening downstairs. She pushed the female lead into the water. I won't say more. I have to quickly go and clean up the mess for her. The garden was originally having a party, but now everyone is gathered around the swimming pool. Before I squeezed in, I had already anticipated the situation, but I only guessed the beginning correctly. The heroine Sarah was indeed standing wet by the water's edge, but the one crying so sadly was my childhood sweetheart, Aria. She was wearing the custom-made water-red long dress I gave her yesterday, completely drenched, pointing her finger at Sarah. Her hair was dripping wet, and it was unclear whether it was tears or pool water. I really didn't mean to push you. It's just that this hand of mine has a mind of its own. It's like it's been cursed. It wanted to push you, not me. Do you believe me? Do you believe the goose? By the end of her words, her voice was already choked with tears. I face-bombed. The way she was crying and begging for others to believe her was just hard to describe. You could say she was fierce, but there was also something pitiable about her. You say she's pitiful, yet she's like a little beast, baring her fangs and brandishing her claws. No one would believe her, not even her so-called plastic friends. They chime in from the sidelines. Why would our Miss Aria need to trouble herself with a mere servant? Who do you think you are, blocking Aria's way and not even apologizing to her? Do you know how much Aria's dress costs? You couldn't afford it even if you sold yourself. All of these were foolish remarks that superficially supported her but actually subtly stirred up resentment. A bunch of bootlickers who are more trouble than they're worth. Aria actually knew that others didn't believe her. She stood alone in the crowd, exuding a sense of bluster and inner panic. I casually picked up a clean, large towel, stepped forward to wrap her drenched body, and handed her over to the housekeeper. Then I walked up to Sarah. I'm sorry, Miss Sarah. I didn't expect such an accident to happen. Please go change your clothes first, and I will personally apologize to you later. As a domineering CEO, the only way I know how to apologize is by offering money, but I received Sarah's disdain. Mr. Green, do you think everything in this world can be solved with money? I am poor, but I have my dignity. I don't want money. I want Miss Aria to apologize to me personally. Such a resounding response. No wonder she's the female lead. I shamefully put away my checkbook. Aria came downstairs. She had changed into a little black dress, with small wavy curls cascading over her shoulders. She caught sight of Sarah's wet clothes at a glance and stammered, why haven't you changed yet? I wanted to ask the same thing. I had clearly asked the butler to bring dry clothes, but Sarah refused with great arrogance. She insisted on waiting for Arya to apologize, otherwise she wouldn't change her clothes. A look of guilt naturally appeared on Arya's little face. She opened her mouth. Sorry, for you, isn't money everything? Brother George offered you money, why didn't you take it? She turned to look at me, her eyes filled with terror, yet her words kept firing relentlessly. What are you pretending to be so noble for? Someone as poor as you, your monthly salary isn't even enough to buy one of my dresses, or are you saying the money wasn't enough, trying to extort more? I facepalm again. I can say with absolute certainty, this is definitely not something the Arya I've known since childhood would say. As a little princess who grew up being pampered, she has no concept of money at all and couldn't possibly know how much Sarah earns in a month. The key point now is that not only is she chattering non-stop, she also picked up a glass of water. I don't know how that glass of water appeared either. Just a second ago, the table was still empty. Based on my experience, her next move will be to splash the water on the female lead's face. Sarah stepped forward angrily. The distance and the stride were practically offering her face to Arya. There's no time left. I snatched the water cup from Arya's hand with lightning speed and drank it all in one go. Arya was stunned. Her hand hung in midair, still unconsciously making the motion of splashing water. Sarah also turned to look at me. Ahem, the autumn air is dry. I need to moisten. They both stared at me for a long moment, then simultaneously turned their heads away, treating me like air. Sarah wrung the water from her clothes and proudly lifted her head. Miss Arya, it doesn't matter if you don't apologize to me today. Given time, I will eventually have my day to seek justice. She walked to the door in her soaking wet clothes, then suddenly turned back and took the prepared dry clothes from the butler. Then she walked away with her head held high. Arya stared at her retreating figure, feeling foolishly conflicted. I want to apologize, Brother George, I really do. I don't know what's wrong with me, I can't control my mouth. Woo. I had no choice but to hold her and comfort her softly. Arya didn't cry for long before she suddenly lifted her head from my embrace. Her eyes were filled with sparkling hearts. Don't you think the way she walked out without hesitation was so cool? I choked. What the hell is this intelligence-lowering debuff? Can it even affect sexual orientation? How should I tell her that Sarah's threats are all real? Her final outcome will be extremely tragic. Her family was destroyed, and she was gang-raped to death. Sarah began to appear frequently in my life. Not only did she work as a temporary server in my garden, but she was also an intern at my company. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw her being stopped outside my office. Assistant Peter politely asked her to leave. But she was stubborn and insisted on meeting me in person to return my clothes. Peter said helplessly, I can help you pass it on, but Sarah disagreed. She didn't trust others to handle it. When Peter saw me, he quickly came forward to greet me. Sarah also followed along. Mr. Green, thank you for the clothes. I had Peter take the clothes and nodded to her. You're welcome. I walked towards the office, and Sarah caught up to me. Mr. Green, I heard that your former secretary has left. I would like to recommend myself for the position. I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at her. She had her hair tied up in a high ponytail, wearing a crisp white shirt and black trousers, with a serious and determined expression on her face. This is my resume, please take a look. Only then did I notice she was holding a document folder in her hand. Seeing that I didn't reach out my hand, she bit her lip and lowered her head slightly. Please, give me a chance, Mr. Green. I'm not like Miss Arya, born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My family is poor. My mother has uremia and needs daily dialysis. I really need this job. Asking for help with her head bowed made her feel humiliated. When she lifted her head, there were tears in her eyes that she was struggling to hold back. I knew what she said was true. I also knew that her mother was actually my savior. When I was a child, I was kidnapped by a criminal. Her mother happened to pass by and secretly called the police to provide clues, which led to my timely rescue. Her mother didn't have a mobile phone and used an old public landline, so my parents were never able to find her. After I became aware of the situation, I quietly donated a large sum of money to her. However, because the source of the money was unclear, she refused it. I'm actually trying to help her mother find a kidney donor right now, but I can't reveal any of this to her. The system warned me that revealing the plot would trigger an uncontrollable disaster. I had no choice but to tell her. The company has a policy that allows employees to get an advance on their salary if their family is in financial difficulty. Given your special circumstances, I can inform the finance department to let you withdraw more. Sarah shook her head. This is just a drop in the bucket, not a long-term solution. Mr. Green, I beg you, at least take a look at my resume. I'm not asking you to hire me outright, but please at least give me a chance. If Aria's debuff is a reduction in intelligence, then the female lead's buff must be stubbornness. I finally gave in and let Peter take her resume. Sarah is indeed very outstanding. Her education and abilities are both top-notch. Even Peter recommended to me. I think Miss Aria should be capable of handling the secretary job. However, the problem was never about Sarah herself. I took some time to go to the rooftop and called Aria. Her voice sounded hollow on the other end. She must have been in the recording studio. She studies composition and enjoys writing her own songs, singing them to herself. But recently, the style of the songs she writes has become quite mind-numbing. I suspect that one day, when she becomes more aware, she'll be infuriated by these shallow songs she wrote herself. I told her about Sarah's situation over the phone. Oh my God, she's so pitiful. How much money does her mother need for treatment? I have it, I'll cover it for her. No need. I stated the facts. Miss Aria won't accept it. I could almost picture Sarah throwing the money back at her with a look of humiliation. Aria sighed in frustration. Sigh, I really want to apologize to her, but I just can't speak properly when I'm in front of her. You said she wants to be your secretary. That's great, but you must make sure to offer her a higher salary. I looked up. Gazing at the drifting clouds in the sky, the tone of voice was filled with melancholy. Aria, have you ever worried that one day I might be taken away by someone else? She laughed uncontrollably on the other end of the phone. Then I would definitely buy 100 strings of firecrackers to celebrate your successful marriage, and also congratulate myself for finally getting rid of you, the chatterbox. She simply didn't believe I would ever change my heart. I was just 7 years old when I was kidnapped. The psychological trauma was so severe that I couldn't go to school and had to take a year off to recover at home. At that time, even the slightest noise would send me hiding under the bed, trembling as I held my head. Whenever an adult approached, I would freeze in fear, regardless of whether they were male or female. The person who abducted me was the nanny our family had hired. She was the one who personally took me out and handed me over to those menacing men. I was locked in the back of a small van with a cloth stuffed in my mouth. If I made even the slightest noise, they would beat and kick me. When I was rescued, my young self had a broken rib, a fractured nose, and bruises all over my body. Even after returning home, I didn't dare make a sound. Only when I am with my parents do I feel safe. Until one day, my mother brought an aunt and a little girl to our home. I hid on the second floor, secretly watching them through the railing. The little girl ran up the stairs, came to my side, and extended her hand from behind her back. In her palm lay a translucent, smooth gourd-shaped jade pendant. This was given to me by my grandmother. She has gone to a faraway place, and it will be a very, very long time before I see her again. She said this little gourd can protect me and keep me safe. So I never encounter bad people. I've never met any bad people. But Mom said you've encountered some very bad ones. I'll lend you this little gourd. May it protect you so you never have to face bad people again. She solemnly bent down and hung the small gourd around my neck. She was wearing a white princess tulle dress, with naturally curly hair, and her delicate face looked just like a little princess from a Western painting. She extended her little finger. When you grow up, you have to return the small gourd to me. Pinky promise, it's settled. If you break your word, you're a little dog. Her expression was both serious and adorable as she made the pinky promise, her smile shining like a bright little sun. I foolishly extended my hand, our little fingers intertwining together. It was only later that I found out her name was Aria. The psychologist suggested that I need to interact more with children of an appropriate age, preferably cheerful and lively little girls. Aria is the cutest and most likable little girl in my mom's social circle, only a year younger than me. Originally, her parents were unwilling. She was also a little princess who had been pampered and adored by her family since childhood, and there was no need for her to become an emotional provider for someone else's child. But when my mom went to their home to plead with them, Aria overheard it. She volunteered to take care of me. this poor, pitiful little brother, later. I repeated a grade and ended up in the same class as Arya. We went from elementary school to middle school, and then studied abroad together. We kept each other company and encouraged each other under the starry skies of a foreign land, and shared our first kiss in the freezing air of Mount Kilimanjaro. At the party abroad, we held hands tightly, not participating in any sharing activities, which made the foreigners laugh at us for being old-fashioned and conservative. After returning home, both families held a grand engagement ceremony for us. As I slipped the engagement ring onto her finger, I whispered a heartfelt confession into her ear. You are the light and warmth in my life, the one I seek and the peace of my heart. I love you, Arya. So how could Arya ever believe that one day I would betray her, that I would come to loathe her, that I would stand by and watch as her family was destroyed and she met a tragic end? Because at that time, my heart and eyes were only for Sarah. I will love the female lead, to the point of life and death, like madness and obsession. I don't know when it started, but a small table appeared on the company rooftop, covered with a simple plastic tablecloth. There was even a slender-necked vase placed on it. None of the items were expensive, clearly cheap goods from a street-side shop. The flowers in the vase are never interrupted day after day: roses, Chinese roses, poppies, baby's breath, even white chrysanthemums. None of the flowers look fresh, as if they were picked from a garbage dump. I wonder who has such refined taste, sharing this secret garden with me across time and space. One morning, I was having a small meeting with a few shareholders and decided to take a break by going up to the rooftop. Sarah was sitting at the table with a coffee in one hand and her laptop in the other, working overtime with her head down. It turns out she was the one who set up the little table. This wasn't in the original plot. She also saw me, and after a moment of surprise, she smiled at me. Mr. Green, do you also like coming here alone? She looked up at the sky and let out a faint puff of white breath. This is a great place. Just by looking up, you can see the sky, and for a moment, you can pretend to be free from the constraints of gravity. I nodded slightly and prepared to leave. I sighed inwardly. I'm afraid I won't be able to come to this rooftop again in the future. Sarah's phone rang. By the time she finished the call, I had already reached the staircase. She rushed after me, looking anxious and flustered. Mr. Green, my mother has fainted, and a passerby called an ambulance for her. May I take the afternoon off? I maintained a deadpan expression while my brain cells were rapidly working. According to the original plot, I should volunteer to accompany her to the hospital. But the premise for this is that her strength and optimism had unconsciously piqued my interest. In other words, I had developed feelings for her. Heaven is my witness, I haven't had the slightest improper thought. Since she became my secretary, I've been careful with my words and cautious in my actions, always maintaining a strictly professional attitude, all to prevent any possibility of ambiguity from arising. When she asked for leave, normally I would just approve it, but now I know that her mother is my savior. My savior is in trouble, in critical condition, yet to avoid suspicion, I closed my eyes and pretended to be deaf and mute. Is this appropriate? I was extremely conflicted, screaming wildly in my heart, fuck, being a domineering CEO in a female-oriented novel is just too damn hard. To be true to the Buddha is to betray you. Since ancient times, love and duty have been hard to reconcile. In the end, I still went to the hospital with her. The ambulance wailed all the way, speeding like the wind into the hospital's emergency lane. The car door opened, and the stretcher was lifted out. Her mother lay on the stretcher, wearing a breathing apparatus, her skin pale and gray, unconscious. The paramedic was racing against time to explain the situation. Cardiac arrest. We just administered epinephrine and used a defibrillator. We managed to revive her, but she hasn't regained consciousness yet. There's still a risk of another cardiac arrest. He handed a stack of medical records to the doctor on duty. The medical records indicate that the patient is in stage 5 of chronic kidney disease, and it's possible that kidney failure has triggered malignant arrhythmia. Fortunately, the patient's family made a small cloth pouch for her to carry the medical records with her at all times, which allowed us to contact the family promptly. The female lead is indeed a strong and intelligent girl. She held her mother's hand and ran alongside the hospital bed. The doctor requested an immediate hemodialysis in the nephrology department. Sarah was completely at a loss and nodded frantically. I stopped her and turned to ask the doctor, "Doctor, given the patient's condition, wouldn't it be safer to perform dialysis in the ICU? The doctor glanced at me, probably curious about my identity. Of course. The patient's condition is complex with internal environment disturbances, if cardiac arrest occurs again. The nephrology department may not be able to handle it promptly. The ICU has more emergency treatment options. The doctor paused. However, the cost of ICU is also higher. Sarah's mother was wearing a sanitation worker's uniform. Sarah herself is also very simple, wearing a white shirt and trousers that look like they cost no more than 300 yuan. If it were according to the original plot, I would buy her a full set of high-end custom professional attire, even including the dress for the cocktail party. And this dress was the one Arya initially had her eye on. At the cocktail party, the two unexpectedly met, and Arya, furious and humiliated, threw wine on her and demanded she take it off in public. At that moment, I would step forward radiantly, embrace Sarah, and angrily rebuke Arya. However, now I have not interfered with Sarah's clothing choices at all. So the doctor, taking their attire into consideration, thoughtfully offered suggestions that suited their financial situation. I made the final decision. Let's go to the ICU. The cost is not an issue. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then nodded in agreement. I waited outside the ICU. Sarah disappeared for a while and returned with a cup of coffee for me. I just went downstairs to prepay the fees. Thank you, Mr. Green. Of course, it was no trouble at all. I tried to downplay it and change the subject. Don't worry about work matters. I'll have Peter assist you. Additionally, if you urgently need money, you can request an advance from finance or borrow from Peter. Sarah briefly shifts her gaze away from the ICU door and gives me a slight smile. Mr. Green, are you being generous with Peter's resources? Fuck, I only thought about clearing myself. But I didn't realize how strange that sentence sounded. We stopped talking, after a long time. The ICU doctor came out looking exhausted and told us that there had been several critical situations requiring resuscitation during the dialysis process. Fortunately, we chose the ICU. If we had stayed in the nephrology department, I'm afraid the person wouldn't have been saved. Now, Sway's mother has woken up, and her condition is temporarily stable. You can go in to visit. Sarah cried tears of joy and rushed in. I was just about to slip away quietly when the doctor stopped me. You're the patient's son-in-law, right? Come over here. There's a situation I'd like to discuss with you first. My heart stirred, but I didn't argue and followed him to the office. The patient has reached a critical stage, with multiple complications triggered. If financial circumstances permit, we strongly recommend considering a transplant surgery. Arya also learned about Sarah's family situation. I wanted to keep it from her, but when I stood her up for the third time, the young lady blew her top. I had no choice but to come clean. She didn't dare come herself, afraid she'd have a relapse the moment she saw Sarah, and only gave me instructions over the phone. If money wasn't enough, she could chip in, insisting that Sway's mother receive proper treatment. She also asked me to lend that small gold jade pendant to Sway's mother, so that her grandmother could also bless this innocent aunt. I couldn't bear to part with it, the small gourd hanging on my chest, with its warm and smooth touch, constantly reminds me that Arya is a living, breathing person. She is definitely not that vague and absurdly behaving villainess from the book. I was terrified. I'm afraid I might be bewitched by the plot, afraid I might forget that my Arya is such a lovely and kind girl. But Arya is really being foolish now. She never even suspected why I would go to such lengths to deeply involve myself in the life of an ordinary employee. Lately, I've been going to the Sway family's house every day, mainly to persuade them. No matter how much I tried to convince them, even Sarah agreed to temporarily use my money to cover the kidney transplant surgery. But Sway's mother absolutely refused to agree. Unyielding and principled, she said, if it's not our family's money, I won't take a single cent. I've always had this stubborn temper. Back then, your father divorced me because of it, and I've never regretted it, even if I were to die now. I wouldn't compromise my principles. It is said that Sway's mother originally worked in a state-owned enterprise but was ostracized due to her overly upright and unyielding nature. In anger, she resigned and left, unexpectedly. As she grew older, this temperament of hers only became more intense and unyielding, growing even more rigid over time. No wonder in the original story, after the female lead misunderstood the male lead, she firmly refused to listen to explanations. leading to a chase and evasion that dragged on for 100 chapters. What is this? This is heritage. Today, I came again, carrying a fruit basket. I walked to the entrance of the residential area and saw Sarah sitting on a bench with her mother. They turned their backs to me, chatting. Sarah is persuading her mother to have the surgery. I stopped walking, wanting to hear how Sway's mother would talk to her daughter. Sarah, be honest with me. Is your boss pursuing you, otherwise? Why would he care so much about our family matters? Sarah fell silent for a moment and said softly, Mom, don't talk nonsense. Mr. Green has a fiancé. Sway's mother seemed a bit disappointed. Oh, then I can't figure out why he's so good to you. That's because Mr. Green is a good person and cares about his employees. Sway's mother scoffed. I've worked in big corporations too, you know. What haven't I seen? Is he this considerate and attentive to every employee? I don't believe it. She paused for a moment, then suddenly asked, Is he perhaps trying to make you his mistress? I was startled. It wasn't because of what Sway's mother said, but because a head suddenly popped out from the flower bushes, sneaking around, imitating Western Nights, wearing an eye mask that covers the upper half of the face, that small face, those little wavy curls. If this isn't Arya, I'll write my name backward. Does she think that just by wearing an eye mask, she won't lose her mind over the female lead? Can this intelligence-reducing debuff get any more ridiculous? I really want to cover my face with a fruit basket and pretend I don't know her. I was about to go and pull Arya back, but she had already jumped out from the garden. What nonsense are you talking? Brother George would never like this poor girl who's just putting on an act. If it weren't for his money that attracted you to cling to him, he wouldn't even bother to glance your way. Want to be George's mistress? Take a look at yourselves. Do you even have what it takes? Poverty breeds wicked intentions, and yet you put on such a high and mighty act. Who are you trying to fool? Sarah stood up, her face flushing bright red. Miss Arya, will you shut up or not? Arya lifted her little face, beaming with pride. I won't shut up. What can you do about it? You're so rotten that pus oozes from the soles of your feet. And your mother is the same, damn it. I threw the fruit basket aside and was about to charge forward. Pia, a crisp sound rang out. Arya covered her cheek, staring at Sarah in disbelief. You hit me, how dare you hit me? Huh, this plot feels so familiar. Next should be, Arya rushed towards me. Brother George, this bad woman hit me. You have to avenge me. I quickly caught her. Before I could comfort her, she twisted hard and broke free from my embrace. With an expression of disbelief and heartbreak, she pointed at me. George, you're actually helping her instead of me. Why, you've changed your heart. You've actually fallen for this poor girl. You're abandoning me for someone else. I hate her so much. I swear I will take you back. She covered her face and ran away sobbing. The fruit basket was kicked over by her, and the fruits scattered everywhere. I stood there in a daze, feeling as if thunder was roaring in my head. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? I clearly didn't do anything. So how did the plot self-correct and return to its original track? After a while, Sarah went to pick up the fruit basket and put the scattered fruits back in. Sway's mother slowly walked over. He looked at me with a very disapproving expression. Mr. Green, your fiancée is arrogant, shallow, and disrespectful. She doesn't deserve you. Sarah tugged at her sleeve. Mom, stop it. She turned to look at me again, her shimmering eyes seeming to hold many unspeakable things. I felt a bit unsettled under her gaze. She finally said softly, Mr. Green, why don't you hurry and catch up with Miss Arya? It's a misunderstanding. Just explain it clearly to her. I nodded foolishly and turned to chase after Arya. From behind came the hushed voice of Sway's mother. She was asking her daughter, Sarah, be honest with me, have you fallen for this man? I stumbled under my feet and nearly fell into the sewer drain. Everything was in chaos, total chaos. Arya ran home and told her parents that she wanted to break off our engagement because I had fallen for someone else. Her parents came to our house to demand an explanation. From their words, my mother learned about Sarah, that homewrecker. What could she do? As a wealthy future mother-in-law and a die-hard fan of Arya, she of course went to negotiate with Sarah, checkbook in hand and full of arrogance. I found out where they were meeting and rushed over without stopping. The scene had already reached the point where my mother was arrogantly throwing the check. Then Sarah will tear up the ticket and accuse my mother of not treating the poor as human beings and not respecting human dignity. The two sides went back and forth, arguing fiercely. I rushed into the private room and found my mother sitting alone in her seat. I searched the floor for a long time but couldn't find any torn pieces of the check. My mother sipped her tea and leisurely said to me, "Son, your judgment is getting worse. How could you give up Arya for such a shallow woman? Sarah actually took the check. That's not how the plot is supposed to go. What exactly went wrong?" I asked my mom. "How much did you give?" My mom waved her hand casually. "Just a small goal." I quickly grabbed the doorframe for support. I remember the original plot said 5 million. Is inflation really this severe now? I struggled to explain to my mom, "Mom, the company just made several investments last month and paid the employees' salaries. Now there are only a few tens of millions left in the account. How can the bank cash such a large check for you?" My mom was surprised. "Isn't achieving a small goal supposed to be easy? We actually can't manage it. Sorry, Mom, I've let down the domineering CEO community. Time is urgent." I can't explain it to her anymore. If Sarah goes to the bank and the staff sees, "Oh dear, someone has issued a bad check," immediately report it to the central bank. According to Article 31 of the Measures for the Implementation of Bill Management, a fine of 5% of the face amount shall be imposed. That's $5 million. My heart is bleeding. I turned around and rushed out. My mother shouted at my back at the top of her lungs, "George, if you dare chase after that woman today, I will sever our mother-son relationship." I rushed out of the tea house as if stepping on wind and fire wheels, and immediately saw Sarah. She was standing leisurely under the big tree. She was waiting for me. "Give me back that troublesome check." Her eyes were full of sympathy when she looked at me. "If you have time, take your aunt to see a psychiatrist. Medical technology is advanced now, and you're not short on money. Don't avoid seeing a doctor out of fear and delay the treatment." I felt deeply ashamed. I forgot that the intelligence-reducing debuff wasn't exclusive to Arya alone. Any villain who ends up on her side acts like they've been cursed. Childish behavior and laughable intelligence. I had just managed to placate my mom during the day, and at night, Arya secretly called me, "Brother George, did Aunt Sway agree to have the surgery?" I was a bit stunned. "Oh, you're so dense. Auntie Sway said she wouldn't accept money from others for no reason. But if you become her son-in-law, you'll be family, and you can openly pay for her medical treatment." My brain continued to freeze. "You need to seize this opportunity properly. Don't waste my great acting skills today." So, today's whole scene was entirely acted out by her. What more could I say? What else can I say? Just come at me all together and finish me off. Now, please call me Oscar, God of Acting 1,000 Faces, chameleon actor George, just as in the original plot. Sarah and I are now pretending to be a loving couple. Sway's mother finally agreed to undergo the surgery. However, she had one condition. She wanted to witness Sarah and me getting married before entering the operating room. Sarah and I discussed it and decided to have a simple Western-style wedding. The attendees were minimal. Just Sarah, me, Sway's mother, along with a small band and an officiant. I went to the restroom and saw a sneaky figure, Arya. She hired a makeup artist, rented a wedding dress, and asked me to bring it to Sarah. I held her tightly, resting my chin on her wavy hair, planting one kiss after another. "My adorable, kind-hearted, and quirky Arya, let's just dumb it down, whatever, I love her." At exactly 9 o'clock, under the tearful gaze of Sway's mother, Sarah and I exchanged rings. The wedding march was solemn and majestic. The MC was enthusiastic and hardworking. The hired extras pretended to be moved. Everything seemed so real. Suddenly, with a loud bang, the hotel door was forcefully pushed open. Already traumatized by the plot twists, I was startled and flinched. "What's wrong again?" My parents, whom I haven't seen for a long time, walked in with brisk steps. "What are they here for? To cause trouble?" I hurriedly jogged up to meet them. "Dad, Mom, today is my wedding day. Can we talk about whatever it is later?" My dad burst into laughter. My mom was beaming with joy. "Mother of my in-law, we've finally found you. So it was you who saved George's life back then. You disappeared after making that emergency call all those years ago. We've been searching for you all these years. Who would have thought that heaven rewards the diligent, and after searching high and low, we'd find you here. This long overdue gratitude should have been expressed much earlier. Heaven has eyes, making us a family. Rest assured, we will never treat our daughter-in-law unfairly." If George dares to wrong Sarah, we will be the first to object. A long-standing question has been answered, a long-cherished wish has been fulfilled. My parents were laughing like two fools. Sway's mother never expected that. Although my parents were arrogant rich people, they actually had a conscience and knew how to repay kindness. Both sides seemed to have discovered a new world. Embracing each other joyfully, the photographer took a family photo for us. Everyone's face was beaming with smiles. I tried hard to release the stiffness in my body. My gaze instinctively swept around the surroundings. By the railing on the second floor, a figure was hiding behind the curtain. Arya. The white curtain nearly swallowed her entire figure. Only a small face, blending seamlessly with the white fabric, was visible. I had never seen such profound loneliness on her face before. Sarah stood beside me. Her eyes never left her mother. She maintained a smile at the corner of her mouth and spoke softly to me. Mr. Green, I think that after my mother's successful surgery, our marriage doesn't need to be dissolved immediately. I turned to look at her. Her entire face was vibrant, brimming with the joy of a fresh start. She said, "Give me a chance to pursue you." Okay, no way. Turning fiction into reality. Love after marriage. This is completely different from what I imagined. I turned my gaze and looked at the small face on the second floor, with lowered eyes and brows. The jade gourd hanging on my chest felt scorching hot. I looked down and saw that the jade gourd seemed to be melting, slowly shrinking. My heart is flustered as if thousands of ants are gnawing at it, like a wooden beam about to collapse before being consumed by flames. My Arya, will I eventually forget her, and as in the original story, walk the same path? Will she turn to the dark side and meet a tragic end, while I, without hesitation, fall in love with Sarah and walk toward a happy life? No, things didn't have to be this way. My life should be decided by myself. This absurd farce should come to an end. But the world suddenly stopped at this very moment. My mother still had an excited smile on her face, while Sway's mother gestured as if holding a telephone receiver, recounting the story of her brave decision to call the police back then. All around, there was only a deathly silence. Only a mechanical voice sounded, "Protagonist, your next choice will affect the direction of the world line, and the disrupted world line is reconnecting. Please make your choice carefully. If you choose the female lead, all characters will follow the original storyline. You and the female lead will have a happy ending, while the supporting female character will face the consequences of her misdeeds. If you choose the supporting female character, she will be redeemed, but the original female lead will turn antagonistic, becoming the mastermind who obstructs your relationship with the supporting character. She will ultimately face the consequences of her own actions. Who will you choose? Who will you give up?" Ending 1. In the smoke-filled KTV private room, I was dressed in a custom-made suit, casually reclining. My long legs were crossed, lazily resting on the coffee table, with my deep profile facing the slightly ajar door. A low, pleasant voice carried a tone of careless disdain. "Sarah is nothing more than a plaything." At first, I found her feisty attitude refreshing, so I decided to tease her a bit. Who knew she'd turn out to be so clingy? Once you get involved, you can't shake her off. Later, her mother saved my life, and my parents forced me to marry her as repayment, threatening to disinherit me otherwise, so I had to put on a show and marry her, treating her like an ancestral tablet to be worshipped from afar. Now, just the sight of her fake, holier-than-thou expression makes me sick to my stomach. I don't even want to touch her. I'm just waiting for her to wise up and voluntarily leave with nothing, so I can have my freedom back. A chilling cold emanated from outside the door, and after a while, it slowly drifted away. I sneezed several times in a row, shivering as I asked someone to turn up the air conditioning. Sarah works as my secretary during the day and takes on a part-time job here at night. According to the original plot, she will soon be harassed by a spoiled young man, and then I will step in majestically to save her from the crisis. Now, after saying those words that both gods and men despise, I have no idea how the plot will unfold. I crouched low, sticking close to the wall, and stealthily followed behind her. The drunken playboy has logged in. He pointed at Sarah and demanded that she go to the private room to drink with him. Sarah explained that she was only responsible for cleaning, but the lackeys swarmed in and pushed her into the arms of the playboy. The scene was extremely chaotic. My heart was in my throat. Sarah struggled, but as a weak woman, she was outnumbered and was eventually held by the playboy. With a tearing sound, Sarah's shirt was ripped during the struggle. Screw the plot. I took a step forward. Suddenly, I heard a familiar voice. Black, what mischief are you up to? A door to a private room opened, and Arya stepped out from inside. The playboy, nicknamed Black, comes from a family that owns a coal mine. He was a primary school classmate of both Arya and me. At that time, Arya was the class president who consistently ranked first in elections, deeply admired by her classmates, and naturally held an authoritative dominance over the underachievers. The moment Black heard Arya's voice, it felt as if long-buried ancient memories had come back to life. His playful grin vanished, and his slouched shoulders instantly straightened. In a daze, he sat up straight, placed his hands on the desk, and felt as though he had returned to the very first day of school. I retracted my outstretched foot. I huddled tightly in the corner, watching the drama unfold as quietly as a chicken. Arya was petite, but her presence was overwhelming. Wearing high heels, she pointed and scolded, berating Black and his lackeys relentlessly. Black grinned foolishly, almost shamelessly leaning in. That sounds great, keep scolding me, baby. Arya took off her own coat, stood on tiptoe, and draped it over Sarah's shoulders. She spoke to her in a tone used to coax a child. Don't be afraid, I'll take you home. Don't come here to work anymore. You shouldn't be so stubborn either. Aren't you married to George, with your family? Why would you still need to work to pay off debts? Sarah shook her head and whispered something. I couldn't hear it, but I knew what she said. She said, I want to divorce George. I let out a sigh of relief, slowly slid down the wall, and ended up sitting on the ground. It's finally coming to an end. The system told me that romance stories must have someone turn to the dark side, otherwise the plot can't progress. Either the female lead or the supporting female character must turn dark. My choice is, what if I'm the one who turns dark? I'm dark from head to toe, the darkest in the world. The system agreed. Strong female leads are popular these days. So as long as you're dark enough, both of them can appear pure. I thought turning to the dark side required drug trafficking in the Golden Triangle, running telecom scams in Southeast Asia, or trading in human trafficking and arms on the dark web. I never expected all it takes is being a scumbag. Although I grew up as a fine young person under the red flag, the ancient genes buried within me can still be unearthed, allowing me to barely perform in my true colors, on the PC, making random dates, engaging in ambiguous relationships, and letting myself go. It was indeed enjoyable for a while at first, but soon I felt spiritually empty. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and look at the woman beside me whose name I can't remember. I suddenly feel like vomiting. Arya quickly became disappointed in me. She cleared out all our photos together from elementary school to studying abroad, and returned everything I had given her. Her expression was strange, neither sad nor pained, only deep bewilderment. I don't know why you've become like this, but I know you're not my George brother anymore. You're just his shell. I can't possibly love a shell. Goodbye, George. But Sarah still seems to be influenced by the inertia of the original plot. She stayed by my side, trying to move me with her unwavering devotion. She would come home late after working into the night and still cook for me. Every day, she brought me meals she had prepared herself, and every night, she waited alone until dawn. Today, she finally decided to leave me. The strong female lead arc has begun, and I, the scumbag, can finally stride forward and head toward my own ending, soon. My company went bankrupt due to poor management. My parents were utterly disappointed in me, so they started over and had a little sister. The three of them are very happy together. In my destitution, I came to a painful realization of the ultimate truth in the romance novel universe. The biggest mistake of my life was betraying the woman who loved me deeply. I have cancer, struggling to die in a rented room. Sarah came to see me. Her calm eyes and distant stance made it seem as if I were just a stranger. I tried hard to reach out, wanting to grasp the hem of her clothes one more time, but she walked out without looking back. I saw someone waiting for her outside. It was Arya. My heart, which had been joyfully awaiting the end of the plot, was suddenly struck by a heavy blow. A genuine, sharp pain swept through my entire body. Arya went up to him, and the two kissed in the sunlight before embracing and walking away. My heart ached intensely, as if I had swallowed thousands of needles. I fell off the bed and crawled on the ground. In the agonizing throes of death, I finally let out my last breath and closed my eyes. The world was plunged into darkness. The end, ending 2. I called Arya and Sarah over, closed the doors and windows, and held a secret little meeting with an air of mystery. I laid out everything I had learned since my awakening. The system had warned me that the consequences of this choice were uncontrollable. Do you want them to awaken too? I advise you to think twice. You are the soul of romance novels. You are the walking hormone. You are the embodiment of male charm. You are the incarnation of noble elegance. The author put more thought into creating you than all the female characters combined. Once they awaken, you will lose all your creator's halo, and they will see the real you. You are just a pitiful rich second-generation small boss, with your mind full of money, 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 tremblingly maintaining your father's business without losses. By that time, it won't be a matter of who you choose, but what choices they will make. The atmosphere grew tense. My heart was uneasy. Arya's mouth formed a big O, while Sarah frowned, her face full of suspicion. I straightened my posture and pointed at myself. Tell me, what do you see? The two of them looked at me as if I were a fool. I fidgeted uneasily in my chair, feeling like a complete idiot stripped bare. Sarah's gaze towards me gradually cleared, no longer holding the tenderness and admiration it once did. I'm overjoyed. The system didn't lie to me, Sarah murmured. Strange, how could I have liked you, and liked you so deeply that I lost sleep over you, my infatuation never changing. Sis, do you even know how to speak? Even if I'm not some tycoon whose every step shakes the earth, but just an ordinary small business owner, I don't engage in vices like gambling or womanizing. I respect women, pay my taxes honestly, and treat my employees well. I'm still a good young man in a socialist society. Am I really that bad? Sarah apologized sheepishly. I'm sorry, Mr. Green, I wasn't talking about you, I was talking about myself. I'm a rather rational person and not the type to go crazy over a relationship. The way I was before was just not normal. Sarah walked away with the documents, head held high and steps light, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. Sure enough, this damn tragic love affair is tormenting not only me but also her. Arya let out a soft hum. I stood at the door, my body stiff, not daring to turn around and look at her. I was afraid of seeing the same look in her eyes as in Sarah's. That would tear me apart. For so many years, I have loved her for so long. Footsteps sounded, slowly approaching behind me. I could smell her scent, hear her heartbeat. What will she say? Goodbye. My palms are sweating, and I subconsciously rub them on my pants. A silky touch brushes against my neck. It's Arya, lightly pressing her fingers against it. Her voice was resentful, carrying a threat. George, I'm warning you. Forget all the songs I've written during this time, every single one of them, forever and ever, and don't you dare mention them again. I turned around and looked at her innocently. Have you ever written any songs? She raised an eyebrow, her small face caught between a smile and a frown, her cheeks puffed out. After a long moment, she deflated. Fine, laugh if you want. It's not the only foolish thing I've done lately. I tentatively reached my hand around her waist and gently held her, carefully. With hope in my voice, I asked, Arya, what changes do you see in me? She poked my cheeks all over while muttering. You didn't have a beard before, but now there's stubble. You didn't have dark circles before, but now you look like a panda. And here, how come there's an extra dimple? I caught her finger and brought it to my lips for a kiss. But am I still the same me? Her little face lifted, her smile blooming like a summer night's epiphyllum. She took a step back and reached out her hand to me. Nice to meet you, hardworking and socially responsible little boss George. I used to know a little brother who was afraid of the dark and loved to cry. His name was George too. Do you happen to know him? After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.